words are powerful. Yeah, everybody starts off small. You were born small, right? And that's just common sense, normal, right?
Yeah.
That Coca-Cola sold 2 bottles in their first year. Okay, but they're not going to say, well, I'm a small business, because that's how you're thinking, and you could never put.
And before we move ahead, this video is brought to you by our friends at Connective Pros. Visit the Connective Pros website, and I'm sure you will find the business solution that suits your needs. Guys, welcome back. Welcome back to Mike on the Mic. Today we have a special treat. We have Shane Ram on the line. Shane, that's for my audience. Just give them some context into what it is exactly that you do. You definitely impressed me with that video I saw on LinkedIn, and that's why I reached out. But for the audience, give them some context.
Okay, well, I help people to really identify what's the 1 or 2 critical things that are actually keeping them back from their ultimate success. So I often ask the question, what's the most important part of the car? And, people might say the engine or the transmission or the wheels or the driver. And, my response to that is, well, if you have a perfect engine and a driver, but you have no wheels, you're still not going to get anywhere, right? Yeah. You could have perfect wheels, a good driver, but if the engine is bad, the engine is the problem. So what I help people to diagnose in their life, in their business, in their leadership, what's that missing bit? What's that bit that if you are able to identify it and rectify it, that your business, your life, your leadership will, go to not just the next level, but 10 times what you're actually doing right now. So I work with both on entrepreneurs and leaders to do the same thing. And entrepreneurs are leaders anyhow. They run their own business. They are the CEO of their business, so they're a leader. I work with leaders and entrepreneurs.
And in Trinidad, we want to give it context to Trinidad. What are the type of leaders that you identify that we have, and what is that shift that necessarily needs to change?
I'm glad you raised the topic, Mike. It's absolutely critical, and as we go into a global recession now, it has become even more critical. And so that's what we need is transformational leadership. And but here's a challenge, Mike. The challenge is that people want it, but I'll take some flack for the leadership and development in industry, right? And what I say that is that we really haven't equipped companies and people with the right training, the right coaching, the right tools to get there. And I'll just in 20 seconds pinpoint some of the key areas, right? So a lot of people do what I call event training, right? You go to a 2-day training program. Like how do you expect transformation in 2 days? You've been doing things a particular way, transactional leadership, as you might call it, for the last 10 years, 15 years. You expect to change that in 2 days, So we do process training. I do process training. It's done over a period of time because transformation happens over a period of time. The other thing is that, who does the training, who does the coaching, what is their experience, whether it be an entrepreneurial training or leadership training, who does it? Did you have a real, leadership position before? Even if you had it, were you really good at it? What did you learn? So who's doing the training? Basically, right? So the type of training, the length of the training, the structure of the training, these 2-day, 3-day events, I tell companies, keep your money because you're going to waste it because you're not going to have transformation in 2 days. If you want to do it over 3 months, we can talk, okay? Because, my reputation is based on my results, okay? The other thing is that most of those programs, leadership, entrepreneurship, is very knowledge and information based, pouring in more information into people. But here's what, the science proves, that new knowledge does not change behavior.
Yeah.
Right. New knowledge does not change behavior. What I work on, what changes behavior, because leadership is behavior. We judge people's quality of leadership by their behaviors. That's all we ever observe, their behaviors, right? We see nothing else but their behavior. So I do something called behavior intelligence. Okay, and how do we understand that? So it has been proven that mindset and beliefs are more impactful on why people behave the way that they do, as opposed to getting new knowledge. Okay, so I tend to do more mindset and beliefs as opposed to pouring on new knowledge and information overload. I mean, yes, we need to provide some information, but we work more on the deeper issues of, mindset and beliefs. And that is what really, at the end of the day, Mike, I try to keep things simple. I hope this is simple enough to understand. But at the end of the day, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're a leader in an organization, there are only three things that we ever do in our lives to get results. Just three things. The way we think, the emotions that we have, and the actions that we take, right? So I call it my TEA formula, TEA, thoughts, emotions, actions, and R is the results. So the results that we have is a function of our level of thinking, way of thinking, our subconscious thoughts, our emotions, whether we operate in fear or we operate in joy and happiness and fulfillment, and that will determine the actions that we take. So there are only three things that we have control over that leads to our results: our thoughts, emotions, and actions. And that's what I focus on to help people to understand, well, what's your mindset? What are you really thinking? And I learned that from, several processes and exercises that I have during my coaching process. What's your thinking? We were speaking about this before we came on air. And how you think is also what you say. So we were talking about people saying that they have a small business, and I was like, I absolutely hate that term. Because words are powerful. Yeah, everybody starts off small. You were born small, right? And that's just common sense, normal, right?
Yeah.
That Coca-Cola sold 2 bottles in their first year. Okay, but they're not going to say, well, I'm a small business, because that's how you're thinking. And you could never produce, you could take how much actions that you want, you're never going to get the results. All right. But here's a challenge, Mike. Most people are unaware of what they're actually thinking, right? We have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and most of it is in our subconscious, which means that we are not aware of it. And one of the biggest challenges of entrepreneurs and leaders is that we try to do it by ourselves. We think that we could, figure it out all by ourselves, and we waste so much time, we waste so much opportunity, we waste so much of, money, meaning, lost income, when we try to figure it out all by ourselves. And, the absolute critical key to success above everything else is mentorship and coaching. Follow somebody who has done it before. It's the fastest way to success, and people might fear, well, if I follow Mike, well, I'll be Mike, I wouldn't be Shane, but that's absolutely not true. It's just a false belief, all right? So for example, Kobe Bryant watched 10,000 hours of Michael Jordan, but he's Kobe Bryant. Right?
Good example, yeah.
Well, yeah. So the negative people people would say, well, he followed Michael Jordan. And I'd be like, so what? He was successful and rich and famous. What about you? Copy somebody.
On that note, you said we narrowly focus a little bit for young entrepreneurs, and as you rightly said, look at your language. Be careful of what you're saying. You're not a small business. You don't know what they're going to grow into. This small seed could grow into this big tree. We're focusing on mindset. You said earlier on when we had our casual conversation, you have 4 touch points that we need to be conscious of as a young entrepreneur moving forward into your business. Explain that to my audience.
Yeah, so I call it the 4 core for entrepreneurial success, right? And one of the things I do, Mike, is that I not only help people to be successful, I think people also want to be happy and fulfilled, okay? Because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, is what Tony Robbins says, right? So that fulfillment comes from purpose. right? And feeling good about yourself. So one of the four core is purpose. So what's your purpose? What's the purpose behind your business? How could you infuse your personal purpose in your business? And I have a process that helps people to discover what their real purpose is. And just to add a note that, people think purpose is a thing. Well, I'll start, something to find a cure for cancer or something. That's how you execute your purpose, right?
That's a
But that
process.
the purpose itself. Purpose is an internal thing, right, which we execute on an external basis. So I help people to discover that. Another part of the four core is developing the right mindset. We did speak about that. Is it a growth mindset? Together with purpose, what actually keeps people back, Mike, in terms of playing big instead of playing small? Some people procrastinate on starting their businesses, procrastinating on doing the things that will grow their business. Putting themselves out there, procrastinate on starting their podcast, procrastinate on starting a blog.
Yes.
Whatever it is. So that really is a function of what I call emotionality, where you don't feel good enough, because we all, like, nobody has escaped this world without having disappointment, hurts, regrets, trauma, somebody not believing in you, sometimes your parents, sometimes your teachers. And if we don't fix that, you're not going to get to your highest potential. So that's, again, just to go over emotionality, purpose, mindset, and fourthly, strategy, right? When I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, I have a networking question that I learned from the famous Bob Berg, because it's all about giving, and I love to refer people, once they're good at what they do, and I've had a good experience with you, and vice versa, So one of the questions that I ask is, well, Mike, so how can I know if someone I'm speaking with would be a good client or customer for you? I tell you, 99% of people cannot succinctly answer that question, right? They don't know who their target audience is.
Who's the ideal client?
Yeah, and we love to bandy the word ID client, but I can tell you 99% of people do not know how to define it. Right? So for example, I'll give you a quick one for one of the programs that I do. And my ideal client, it takes 2.5 pages to define that ideal client.
Wow.
2.5 pages, right? So what I do is kind of what I've done for myself, and I've done with many other people, is transition from employee to entrepreneur. Okay, so I call it the Path to Freedom program. Okay, so first I start with my demographics. What's their age group? What's their, most of them are, over 35. They usually have a postgraduate qualification. They're middle management and higher, usually. They have a certain income level. They have 1.5 kids usually, right? And they want to spend more time with their kids, and the work is kind of keeping them back from spending time with their kids, right? So that's just their demographics. Then I go into their, what are their challenges? Well, they're not being paid what they're worth. They went and do a master's, and they're not getting paid for that level. They don't get promoted. They get frustrated. Nobody takes on their ideas. It's only the boss's ideas that flow. That sort of thing. That's their challenges that they face on a daily basis. And then, what are their fears? Well, their fears are, am I going to be able to replace my income? Am I really that good? Are people going to buy from me? Do I have to sell? Do I have what it takes to be, successful? Right? Those are some of their fears. And then, well, what are their challenges? Well, one of the biggest challenges, and I faced it when I, was making the transition. Well, I have a master's degree. I was, this director in this company. Why do I need any help? So thinking that you could do it all on your own is a big challenge that they have. The ability to collaborate with people, the ability to ask for help and mentorship, quell their ego a little bit, right? So I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my 2.5 pages of my ideal client. Not only who they are, but how they think, what are their fears, what are their emotions, what are they going through. So when I see people saying that, well, content is a problem, I was like, no, content is not your problem. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a strategy. That's just it. And it's not. I'm not. Talking down to people. I hope people understand that, because Mike, here's the reality. The reality is that most people who do make that transition, they would not have been in a position or even given the opportunity to be strategic. You see. So when you come out, you have no experience in being strategic. And I'm sorry to say, an MBA doesn't make you strategic, right? A master's doesn't make you strategic. It's a piece of paper to say that you have learned some things, and that's it. It doesn't make you strategic, right? And I get very real with people. If you want to have success, you got to be honest with where you are right now. So most people, they just don't understand strategy.
So what are the examples of strategy that most people should start to begin thinking about? So even like me for Mike on the Mic, I use this as my on-the-job training, and I'm glad to have you here, Shane. What are the first things that I should be thinking about as an entrepreneur? I want to be able to grow this podcast. I want to be able to be international. I want to be having a Trinidadian voice, just like the other YouTubers and the other podcasters that you see on YouTube that has this large international following and large audience. What are the first steps, or what should I be doing now in order for me to get to that point where my seed that I plant in the ground germinates and grows into this big reach that I can be able to help others out there like myself?
All right. So free coaching here, Mike. That's cool. I love that we do it live so that people could benefit. But your answer kind of came in the last few words that you just said, which is, how can I help other people? So the number one problem or issue or question is, well, what problem am I solving? That's it. So businesses exist to do three things: meet a need, fulfill a want, and solve a problem.
Yeah.
What problem are you solving? So that's, the other thing now is, well, how do you know that problem exists, right? So that's your research and development. How many people have that problem? So if a small amount of people have that problem, you're going to have a small business and you're going to make small money, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is a large number of people, do a large number of people have that problem, right? And also, how do you know if I'm coaching someone? The other important question: are they actively looking for their problem to be solved? Are they actively looking for a solution? If they're not, so many people have problems that they're not looking for a solution for. Right? And if they're not actively looking for it, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
They have to be actively looking for it. Yeah. Right? So those are some of the fundamentals that people they simply can't answer when I start to work with entrepreneurs. They just, that should be flowing out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Right? That should be flowing out of your mouth. So I came up with
that's the narrow focus. So you're saying problem, solution, identify a problem, understand what it is that you can do to be able to solve that problem, and then you could take it on to the next entrepreneurial step before you just jump into the business.
Yeah, but you have to do some research there, because this is a problem I find in Trinidad, is that, most people, if they have a problem, they think other people might have the problem. That is true in some circumstances. Or I like these 50 flavors of, punch or creme. And they go and they make 50 and everybody say, wow, whoa, you have a wide range. But, am I looking for, chocolate punch or creme? How many people, actively looking for it? How many people would actually spend to buy it? And then, so I saw somebody did something like that. I thought, innovative, but is it going to work? Are you trialing to see, well, let's throw it out in the market and see which ones they're going for, and then we'll discontinue all of that? Well, if that's part of your research and development, that's cool. But if that's your strategy, then, you're all over the place. Okay,
Yeah.
so problem solution, yes, but really important, and I don't want you to miss this, and your listeners to miss this. Yes, you could find a solution to the problem, but are people actively looking for the solution? So, for example, 50% of people or more are overweight. Are they actively looking to lose the weight? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are they actively looking to do it? Or are they, bulking up on, all the carbs and, the
Eating
bad food?
roti and
Yeah.
yeah.
Some might convince themselves that they are, but I smile, I see them in their gym clothes, and then they go buy Alpecos and fill up their box with stuff after. And I was like just shaking my head,
Yeah.
like so. But you get what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
there are problems, but is it worthwhile for you to solve that problem?
Okay.
How do you know that, well, yeah, you got to be good. Also, you got to get good
Mm-hmm.
at solving the problem. But when people don't make a lot of money, it's because they come up with a great idea, but they don't ask these very important questions. How many people actively looking to solve this problem?
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know, I mean,
definitely you give me some homework. Definitely you give me
right.
some homework there to,
Yeah,
to help. But I don't want to take much more of your time. I definitely love and appreciate the fact that I could reach out and you were very willing, guys. You were very willing to help facilitate Mike on your mic. I hope we really do inspire someone out there. As we look to wind down, because I don't want to take much of your time. I saw the video on LinkedIn that he put out in terms of leadership mindset from an employee to becoming a leader. And
yeah,
that is the main reason why I reached out to you, Shane.
right.
I know, like myself and others out there, we need that path to freedom. I love that you have a program that actually shows you the path to freedom. How important it is for us to change that mindset currently in Trinidad and Tobago, given even the landscape of international and global change that's happening, going from an employee to a leadership mindset in whatever
Yeah.
current position that you're in.
Yeah, well, so one of the important things that I learned, right, is that as long as you're not the owner of the company, all right, you are a worker, you're an employee. You could be the CEO of the company, working for the owner of the company, you still are an employee. Okay, you could be the director of so and so, you could be the manager of so and so, you are an employee. Okay, so environment is so important, Mike, in the sense that like if you want to learn a new language, like if you want to learn Spanish, you go to Spain or Mexico or somewhere, and what that does, it creates an immersive environment. It's all around you, right? So it sort of
Yeah.
seeps into kind of thing. So it's the same thing, regardless of how hard you might try to become an entrepreneur. When you are in that employment environment, you are in that employment environment.
Yeah, in the environment, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and you can't escape it. Like you can't escape Spanish when you go to Spain, right? So you that's very important to understand that you cannot escape it. And how do you begin to escape it? And that's why you have to create an alternative environment. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is by whether you're in an entrepreneurial group, whether you have an entrepreneurial coach, you have to do that and work against that, because there's a huge difference of working in a business. Entrepreneurs work on a
On a
business,
business. Okay.
right? So that's one of the critical things. So yes, it's absolutely critical, and everybody could say it, and yeah, it's critical, it's critical, it's critical. But guess what, Mike? Most people don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not willing to invest in somebody who can help them how to do it. And that's why most people just remain, or they jump out and they fail and they go back to employment,
Yeah.
right? Because again, they try to do it by themselves. They follow curious people on social media, and anybody could throw on a jacket and a nice suit, flip up their phone, and
Yeah.
start a talk. And they're influencer all of a sudden, because people like foolishness. I'm sorry to say, right? So you talk
True,
foolishness, and
true.
you get 10 million views. You talk sense, and nobody wants to hear it, right?
Yeah.
so yeah, the blind leading the blind sometimes. So it's so important to follow people who have the success that you want to have. Simple.
And it goes back to what you were saying and how we started the conversation, which is the value of being mentored and mentorship.
Yeah.
Definitely, Shane, I would like to have you back on the podcast. This definitely was a very interesting conversation, especially for me,
Yeah.
switching my mindset. One of the touch points that I will be taking forward, moving forward, and really thinking about it in a very serious is this last point that you make about environment. If you're in an employer environment, it's very difficult for you to be in a part of freedom because you're in the immersive environment of an employer. If it is a true entrepreneur, you need to build out your business and need to focus on it from that for that part of freedom.
Yeah.
That one is a wow for me. Definitely, I would love to have you back on again. This definitely was a very interesting conversation. As you know, guys, Mike on the mic, we have casual conversations. We try to get touch points, yes. But I love the fact that you are very authentic, Shane, and you bring it to the audience, and you got me thinking about it too as well. Is there any final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
Um, yeah, just as Nike say, just do it. You have one life to live. Life is short. We all have a purpose inside of us. You're born for great things. There is enough for everybody to be great,
Mm-hmm.
and successful. But the most critical thing is be humble, ask for help. All right, you're
Thank,
not going to know everything. You're not going to be good at everything. And the fastest way to success is asking somebody who have the success that you want to have.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you once again for being here on Mike on the mic, guys. If it is that Shane has inspired you, I'm sure you could reach out. He has a training program. The Path of Freedom. I'm definitely interested moving forward into the future. If they want to get in contact with you, if anybody wants to get in contact with you out in the digital landscape, how can they do that?
Well, the easiest thing to remember, my name is very simple, Shane Ram, so shaneram.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you go there, they will, have all the links to the different socials, but shaneram.com and you'll be connected.
Thanks, guys. Thanks once again. Thank you, Shane.